webinar has officially started. All right. So a huge shout out to all the coaches, all the trainers, all the CEOs, all the brokers, all the MLSs, all the associations, all of the industry leaders, all the thought leaders that, like myself and all these incredible experts I have here, my friends at Realtor.com that are running full page ads talking about the value of buyer agency, Jack Miller, who deserves more credit. I'm so impressed, Jack. You still have hair after everything you've gone through over the last 5 months to support so many brokers, MLS associations, NAR, and everybody else. To you and your firm at T360, to my friends at F&F, right, that have done so much, Palm Agents, so much, KCM, so much, David. David, you've already lost your hair. I don't think it was over this.
I was going to say, I don't know what happened there.
Just to be clear, we all just want to be Jimmy Mackin, right? We all want
seriously.
Yes. But with that said, I was looking at the numbers this morning. We have helped a little over 143,000 people just in like 9 sessions of doing these events. And obviously everyone out here knows my commitment and my passion for whether it was the global financial crisis after 9/11, survive until 1995. Yes, that's how long I've been doing this. Or even the pandemic, right? Getting people to make the adjustment because this is your business, this is your profession, and most importantly, the consumer deserves a better quality experience. The consumer deserves a better quality experience. And I know watching right now, you know exactly what I'm talking about, the degree of separation between what you do and what so many others do. And I'm not knocking the others. I'm not knocking them. I'm just saying people like you are the reason why this industry is so great. Now, can you guys all see the polls? I need to know really fast in the comments. Yes. Can you see the polls? So here's what I see. Are you prepared for the changes? It looks like 55%. God bless you. You're already in action. 31%. You're doing it sometimes, but your state, your MLS, your brokerage is probably already made an announcement, so it's go time soon. And I really appreciate the honesty of the 14%. Some people are saying, I'm just still resisting. I hope that today is the, I don't know, what is it? What's the camel breaking the back metaphor, whatever it is? I hope this is the moment where you finally say, okay, I got it. Look at the next one. Are you having a great summer? 59% of you said yes. I'm going to focus on the 13%. You need to set some plans. Right? It's time to have some fun, right? We are running a marathon. We are running a series of marathons. I can hear, David, right now, the great Steve Harney reminding me when the pandemic began, Thomas, this is going to take a while. Don't burn yourself out. Give with your heart, give with your mind, but we're running a marathon. Same thing with summer, my friends, right? How many good summers do you have left is a question I ask myself all the time. And then, of course, hey, you come to the summit, 24% said yes, 34% live stream. Never shocked. 34% said waiting for the last minute, and 9% said yes, I'm going to do it today because prices are going up. All right, so let's jump in. I've got some slides that I'm going to share. We've got a tremendous show. You see the guest speakers today. You're going to get a lot of value. I am going to ask Hector to turn off the chat to save all of you and your ADD brains. So instead, take notes and know this. All of the presenters have sent me all of their slides. And if you're great at the end, I will send all of you the slides. And there's only one way to know if you're great at the end. So Hector, kill the chat because no one needs to be distracted by it. Let's jump into the show. I want to start with a very simple question. Why are you here? So I know you know why you're here, to get better, right? To make the final adjustments. But I thought about it this morning and I thought, why am I here? We've already worked with 143,000 people. We got a couple thousand of you joining. There'll be tens of thousands watching this afterwards. And I thought about why I'm here. And don't laugh, but that's why. That's my family. Now, many of you, we know each other. You've met my lovely wife, Kathy. But I really want to point out the guys on my right and left. The one on the right with the red tie, it's my son, Steven. Steven and I were texting this morning. Steven is selling homes in Hoboken, New Jersey for one of my great friends and clients, Jill Biggs. Steven needs to know how to do it right. He's a brand new real estate agent. He's sold a couple houses. He's, working with buyers, today. He needs to understand how to do it the right way straight out of the gate. And he's got confusion. My son on the left in the blue suit with the black tie, that's Michael Ferry. Michael works for F&F, right? He works for the monster title company, and title's a big part of this as well. When I asked myself this morning, like, why am I doing this? Why am I interrupting this crazy writing schedule to spend time with you again and say, let me give you the best people and all the best ideas? It's not just, I want you to do extraordinarily well. I'm also thinking about my own family. Like, it's personal for me. So with that said, you ready? Where are you stuck? For the people that said, I'm on the fence, I haven't committed 100%, or I do it sometimes, I want to remind you that there's some obvious challenges that have we've dealt with this entire year. And we're going to reinforce the new behaviors, the new scripts, the new strategies, some new approaches, some ways for you to stand out amongst your competition just with what you're going to learn today. But if you look at sort of the four converging forces that are impacting the industry right now, you've got the new rules, you've got interest rate fluctuations. The only good news is, and David, we got some good news coming around interest rates, but there's also a lot of client confusion. I was with friends yesterday in Jackson Hole and in Wyoming. They've been doing buyer brokerage agreement forever. But they're like, man, the objections we're now getting, the questions we're now getting from consumers about commissions, like, we've always been asked about commissions, but it just feels like it's the first thing that they talk about now. And I know you know that. And then, of course, agent confusion. And I could layer on top of that for all of us in the US, this craziness presidential election, which I think is going to be one of the more tumultuous ones we deal with. And it's part of the reason why I asked my dear friend David Childers to spend some time with us today to really demonstrate to you, how do you become the knowledge broker in the face of the chaos? How do you, dare I say, not take a side? Think about that. Not take a side, because that's not good for your brand, but instead be the knowledge broker and be able to use facts and figures and data points to explain to people the choices, the decisions, right? Give them the information, as the great Steve Harvey would always say, and then trust that they're smart enough, they'll make a good decision. So you're going to love that session today. The challenge of when I think about all these things, and I created this slide, so if I spelled something wrong this morning, the challenge is with all these converging forces, I see it leaving agents and brokers and teams and individuals in basically one of two emotional states. And if you've seen my work before, this is a very typical slide that I show, that there's just a lot of people that have put their head in the sand and said, I'm going to wait, or worse, you know what, I'm just going to keep doing what I've always done. And I know Jack will speak to this today. I know Alyssia will speak to this today. Kristi's going to show you the opposite, which is how to do this, right? How to charge into the storm. And you know me, I love this example. And it's not just because I'm in Wyoming. It is because the bison, this beautiful beast, understands two things. If I charge the storm, if I go right at the problem, if I go right at the solution, if I go right into this with the right mindset of serving my customers, the reason why the bison charges right into the storm versus running and hiding as most animals do, it charges for two reasons. One, because it's the fastest path. It's the fastest path to go right through the storm. But secondarily, the bison does it to lead. The bison understands that when he or she puts her head down and goes right at it, she's carving a path for others. And I make the argument that why you and I are doing this together is you and I are carving a path for others. We're going to show people the right way to do it. We're going to show people how you can take care of your customers, offer the right solutions, and at the end of the day, have this not be this crazy thing, but just another thing in the sort of belt of your career, another little notch of change you managed effectively. You hear me on this? Just another notch in the belt of your career, changes that you managed effectively. That's what the bison does. Now, with that said, I always ask the same question. Do you believe you're capable of doing more in this business, regardless of what's going on? And I turn the chat off. I know the answer is yes. That's why you're here. So why am I doing this? It's to give you the final insights, the final adjustments, because by the time I see you at the summit, it'll be the end of last week of August, and we'll already be 10 days into this. So yeah, will we talk about it? Yeah. Will there be some new insights? Of course, but I wanted to do everything in my power in this last session to just make sure that you are prepared. So I'm going to show you one thing, and because there's no there's no way to chat, I'm going to encourage you to just screenshot what I'm about to show you. I'm going to give you an example of something we started discussing 2 months ago. And if you haven't started this discipline, you're going to start it this week. You're going to put it into motion. I'm going to talk about it. I believe Alyssia is going to talk about it. Kristi may talk about it. But I want you to think about it in this context, right? This is not something new for you, right? Oh, by the way, hit that if you're not already registered because prices go up tomorrow. Hit that really fast. If you're not already registered, hit that. Prices go up tomorrow. Actually, don't hit that and sign up tomorrow. I'm playing. I'm kidding, but I'm not kidding, right? So make sure you do that. I'll come back to it later. That is a must. Now, my point to you earlier was this is something that you've always done. This is something that the industry has always done. This is something that forever all of us have coached around. And it's quite simply this. When you list a home, all great agents set up a time to speak to their clients every single week, give them updates on showings, progress on buyers, what you're hearing, feedback, pricing, updates on markets. You've been doing this for as long as you've been a professional in this industry. The now is it's best to now create the same exact strategy for your buyers. So one of our great coaches, Lourdes, who was actually here with me in Jackson, preparing for the summit with Jimmy Mackin and Jason and Jeff and others, right? Meredith and more. We talked about one of the things that Jimmy Mackin's company Curaytor created a long time ago, which is the Don't Fire Me report for sellers. The Don't Fire Me report for sellers, which was just, again, that way to demonstrate the value, the marketing. Here's everything I'm doing. And it hit me like, we need to create the same exact thing for buyers. And Lourdes immediately was on it. And if you take the time to screenshot that, this is just an example of how I see professionals like you servicing their customers now on a weekly basis, every buyer that you're working with, giving them updates, right? And I believe in my heart of hearts, when you look at like a philosophy my dad taught me years ago called the 180-degree theory. And Jack, here's what he'd say to me all the time. Look what the masses are doing. If the masses are going left, always go right because the masses are dumbasses. Did I just say that on a Zoom? Yes, I did. The masses are always going left because they don't know what they're doing. So pros like you and I, we go right? We take the 180-degree approach. We go the opposite direction. And the reason why I bring that up is the masses under-communicate with their clients. The masses under-communicate with their clients. And what pros do like you, we're going to over-communicate with their clients. So whether it is the Don't Fire Me report, which don't actually call it that, but it's the I'm going to over-communicate with my customers, and that's how I'm going to win. So with that said, what are we going to do today? Here is the high level of all the great speakers we have and everything you can expect to learn. I've got Jack Miller, who's going to talk to you about, again, I mentioned earlier, T360. He has led so many brokers and CEOs and companies and MLS and associations through the change and do the same for you. Kristi Jencks is going to show you 3 different ways that buyer agents are taking the things that are already in the market and improving upon it, showing even more value. So you're going to eat that up. I'm going to give you a script for existing buyers that you're working with that you'll start working today and tomorrow to get them under contract. Super easy. David Childress is going to prepare you for Q4. And I'm going to warn you, Q4 is going to be rough. I'm going to say it out of the gate. Q4 is going to be rough for the people that don't know what they're doing, that aren't educating and aren't doing the work. So I got you. David's message, very important. Jimmy Mackin, always best listing campaigns, because at the end of the day, we all need more listings. I don't care how many listings are in your market, you need more. And then we're going to finish with Alyssia Essig, who has really been by my side, as Kristi Jencks has been, as one of the leading coaches to help our clients going back to 2019 on how to be more effective with buyers. So that's the show flow. I am going to kill my slides. And Jack, I'm going to turn it over to you. So ladies and gentlemen, my friend, CEO of T360, charging the storm every day. Thank you for being on the show. Take it away.
Tom, thank you so much. And I appreciate, again, being invited to participate with this group. You have a group of producers that does a lot of business in this industry. And candidly, I'm much less worried about this group than I am about everybody else that's not here. I think the people that are here, you're already ahead of the curve. You've been coming to these seminars and workshops. You're going to, be with Tom later in the month of August, and you're going to win. And your diligence and education and staying ahead of what's happening are going to be the things that cause you to get there. We have been working on this, Tom, as you know, for the last 5 years, ever since the first case went into court, and have been writing about it and doing some prognostication about where things were going to end up. As 2 years ago, we started telling people, look, the buyer side is in trouble, and you need to get really great at talking about what you do on the buy side. And we've been in front of I myself personally, in front of a lot of CEOs and a lot of boardrooms and a lot of states, trying to work this issue to say, look, we need to do things to elevate what's being done on the buy side. And at the same time, we're going to need to educate sellers about this potential change. Well, the moment's here, it's arrived, it's now, and people are either going to do it and be on board with it and use it to become successful, or they're going to do what I see many people in Facebook groups are doing, which is grumbling, griping, and trying to work around the new reality. And that just isn't going to work very well. And if you're in that space, it's time to get over it. And many of you this has already happened. What's interesting, Tom, you say, oh, well, this is about August 17th and the dates. I know many people on this Zoom are in MLSs where they've already implemented the change. They've said, you know what, we're going to get ahead of the curve. We're going to remove the comp field. We're going to go ahead and issue new forms. We're going to do whatever. This is not a lights off situation, August 17th. It's more like a rolling blackout that's happening throughout the country where that field, the compensation field, is going away. And so if you're in those markets, you're already dealing with this now. And truth be told, if you've been working with consumers, it's already been there from the media and from all that. So this is not an event, and it is going to take us 6-9 months to normalize. And so what I'm going to give you today, and we're sending the slides over to Tom's team, so you'll have all of this, are just some of the principles that we're educating people on to approach the market from. And then we've created a set of scripts and dialogues, some do's and don'ts for this new situation that I hope will be helpful to you. And you're going to get a lot of coaching on this today from many of the other speakers who are fantastic and have really specific examples out of their business. T360 is a management firm. We kind of focus on the big picture. So I'm going to give you kind of the big picture and some principles to operate by, and some scripts that I think you could use and modify and make your own. And I encourage you to do that. And these are free to you. They're free to anybody that's following, listening. I want people to adopt the new reality as soon as possible. So we'll start with the 4 principles, and then we'll do the do's and don'ts dialogues with the new rules. So one of the principles we've always operated by at T360 is that all things being equal, that the person best able to explain what's happening will win. Like if you have the best explanation that a consumer has heard about the market situation, about these new rules, then you are the person who is most likely to win, all things being equal. If you have the same level of relationship, same everything, drive the same car, whatever, then you're going to win in that situation. So we focus on that because you can control that. You can control your understanding and your ability to explain the new rules. You can't control the interest rates, the Fed, the inventory crisis. There's lots of things you can't control, but you can absolutely control your own mind and what you say and how you say it and how you educate those around you. So I'm going to walk you through 4 specific principles that are related to these new rules. And these will help be a guidance for you in what we're going through. It's going to happen for the next 6 to 9 months. This is going to be a rolling blackout. It's going to be over time. Lights are going to go off and then they're going to come back on as people get the new rules and understand how to operate. I want your lights to already be on. That's the goal here. I want them already on. First principle is we're in a market situation where you need to educate your clients should not be reading minds, because you're going to be in meetings where your seller has gotten a lot of media already that has said, oh, you don't have to pay the buyer's agent anymore. Well, we know that's an interpretation. The new rules did not all of a sudden put tens of thousands of dollars in buyers' pockets. Like the court case did not all of a sudden make buyers have more money to pay their agents out of pocket. We know that's a fact. So, and the piece about not reading minds is we don't know, as on the listing side, what a buyer and their agent have worked out. And let's not try to guess. Let's not try to guess. Let's not try to presume. Let's not try to say there's a market standard or norm or anything like that. Let's not guess. The same principle about not reading minds applies to the buyer side. I see a lot of this online right now, tons of it. I was scrolling through Facebook groups this morning. Oh, if they're just not offering anything, or if there's no way to offer anything and haven't done anything, we're just not going to see the house, which you are now, the moment you say that, if those words come out of your mouth, you are reading somebody's mind. You're saying, hey, I already know because they're not saying anything publicly, or they're not saying, or some of these dumb phrases people are saying, I'm going to put in my listing like, oh, we're such and such friendly, whatever. None of that means anything because none of it's guaranteed, and you're going to have to put it in your offer anyway. So don't read the minds of the seller and their seller's agent and their conversation about putting that listing on the market. Write the offer and find out. That's how you find out what's in their mind. Don't read minds on that side. So this is probably the most important right now. There's going to be a lot of mind reading going on, and you're going to have peers and compatriots that you're going to have to educate through this and say, hey, put it in your offer. We're looking at all the offers and what people are asking for, and we're going to judge from that. So that's important. The second principle is we're in a deep time of education because of this change. Those of you that went through the great financial crisis know this. You had to do a lot of education with your buyers and sellers through that crisis. Right. We've had to do a lot of education during COVID. We had to explain to people, here's how we're going to show houses. Here's how we're going to get business done. This is the same thing. These are the specific areas you need to continue to educate your sellers on, that buyers did not all of a sudden get a lot more money because of a court case, right? Because of a new set of rules. They are still in the same cash strapped, high interest rate, don't have the money to pay for services to get to closing, and they need concessions, or they need seller contributions in order to, most of them, in order to get the closing done. Now, there are some sellers that might not, and that's beneficial. There may be some sellers or some buyers that don't need it, where you can say to your seller, look, your demographic is X. Those people are able to pay their agent out of pocket. It's fine. Or we're just going to find out. We're going to find out and have them ask. They're going to ask for what they need. So we use the principle about not reading minds to educate the sellers and say, we don't know what they worked out. And we're going to help you understand who you're selling your property to and what financially they're likely to need. Same thing on the buyer side. You're going to have to help your buyers understand your specific value. Tom, I think you've done a great job in talking about that. I think there's some great speakers here today to talk about that, about your specific value. This is where all of your experience, your war stories, your horror stories, your success stories, your case studies, all that's going to come into play. Let me tell you about all the things why I'm valuable, and help your buyer understand that. And also, I think in this era, you're going to have to teach the buyers that it's 100% normal for you to negotiate for concessions or contributions from the seller that cover your fees. That's normal. We've been negotiating repairs. We've been negotiating point buy downs. We've been negotiating, all other kinds of things in these contracts. This is just another term in the contract. There's nothing miraculous about it. So this is a point of education. Hey, this is not that different than what real estate has been all about the entire time. The third is positioning. You want to position so that you can help your sellers understand. If you understand, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, the new rules and how they work, you will see that it gives us the opportunity to make more money. I'm not going to commit you to a certain amount of money that we're going to give to another agent right now. We're not going to commit you to that right now. Now, there may be requests that will have that. There may be agents that will come and say, my buyer needs X dollars in order to get to close. But I'm not going to force you or try to get you to commit to anything right now. I will inform you. I will keep you educated about what may come. But let's look at that. And that could save you a bunch of money versus other agents. And by the way, those other agents are on Facebook groups right now saying, I'm only going to take at X%, which might be 2X what your fee is, right? They're going to try to do it the old way, and the old way is going to look a lot more expensive, right? It really will. Buyers, they get to choose their level of service and support. This is where emphasizing your capabilities, what you do differently and better, your background, your experience, and having examples of like, hey, let me give some times when I've saved people a lot of money, or I've helped them avoid an expensive mistake. I know the professionals on this call, you have those examples. You have somebody that didn't use you, went and did it on their own, forgot to ask for a repair, ended up paying $50,000 for something they shouldn't have had to, that you would have negotiated for them. You have those examples. Use them. Now is the time, right? And the message for the buyer is, look, you get to choose the quality of agent you get to work with and how hard they're going to negotiate for you and what experiences they have. We're all not the same. And if you educate on that, you're going to win. And lastly, I'll tell you this one. Let the market work. I think there's a lot of noise in the industry right now. People saying, well, the market's going to fall apart, all this kind of stuff. Buyers and sellers. Buyers still want to buy homes. Sellers still need to sell homes. There's literally nothing in here that we haven't faced already in a market where we've helped all it is it's helping those two parties come together and see each other accurately and saying, okay, I see you. I understand what you need in order to get this transaction to close, and I'm gonna bring that forward. So that's the last principle. And let the market work. Don't be frustrated by it. That's all in your control. What you can educate your buyers and sellers about the market and how it's going to work. So,
Jack, thank you for just kind of politely laying down the gauntlet of the do's and don'ts.
Yeah,
did that. And the big thing, I think, because I've heard this from so many of my own clients, is this. Well, I'm just, I'm not even going to call the agent, or what a pain in the butt. I've got to now call the agent and figure out. I'm like, just write the offer and put it.
Yeah.
Just write the offer and put in what you want. If everyone could just wrap their head around, write the offer and put in what you want. And then, of course, on the sell side, Mr. Seller, Mrs. Seller, we have to be prepared for the vast majority of buyers to be in a position where they're going to need some level of concessions. It's just a new script, which we've covered a multitude of times. Jack, one last thing you wanted to share. So you want to hit that?
Yeah, I want to share. First of all, I'm going to give you guys, this is in the slides. I've got a whole set of scripts and dialogues for you guys. Run through these. It's going to line up with everything else everybody's presenting today. So these are all yours. Just take them. And then I will tell you, we have a post-settlement workshop the 14th of August, one day in Denver. It's limited to 50 people. It's really designed for leaders, people that are going to coach and teach others and work with others. We'd love for you to join us. The link is right there. I'll post it in for everybody to sign up if you want to come. Only 50 people. We're about half full right now. We'd love to have you there. Tom, I'll turn it back over to you. And again,
I would just say let's give me the control again. It's for CEOs. It's for trainers of companies, right? It's for, leaders of MLS. It's people that are going to continue to take this message and keep moving forward. All right. So Jack, thank you so much. Kristi, you are up. So Coach Kristi Jencks from Phoenix, Arizona has done a remarkable job helping a lot of our clients. She's synthesized some great case studies. Again, you're all going to get a copy of the slides, including all that stuff that I know you want, the scripting from Jack. But Kristi, I turn it over to you. Take it away, my dear.
Awesome. Thanks so much. I'm excited because the last time that we were together, it was right before the announcement. And since then, I've noticed something as a coach. And Jack hit it so well on the head. Agents know in their head what to say. They know what's going on, but they're falling back on old habits. They're not as polished as they want to be because it's like, ooh, resistance. I'm just going to do it the old way. And I'm hearing these conversations. Well, I tried to get the agreement and they didn't want to do it. So I showed them the home. Guys, now is the time to stop thinking about it and start doing it. Start taking action. You're going to walk away today with some scripts and some strategies. Please don't leave this webinar without implementation. Okay. Our first case study is coming from Rhode Island. The Slocum Home team, they are absolutely crushing it. And one thing you need to know is, let's go back to the survey that Tom did. 55% of you guys are in action. This is one of the people that are in action, okay? 14% of you guys are still resisting. 31% of you guys are back in those old habits. You are competing against that 55%. That divide is only going to get bigger. Get out of your head and get into action. So one of the first things they did is in our first big webinar, we talked about how do you showcase value? How do you build your presentations? Well, they took those ideas and they said, how could we deepen the connection? Oh, I know. Let's go into video. They took 49 ways that they guide buyers to their dream home, and it is now on their social media. It is on their website. It is on YouTube. If you're a buyer working with them, you know exactly what you're going to get. Look at what's out there and how can you amplify the message? Use video. You know that we are a video first company. The next thing they did is they said, we really want to differentiate ourselves. Let's make sure that we can showcase that we're professionals. Have you ever interviewed a professional and they show you their resume? If that chat was open, I would love to know how many of you have a professional resume where you're not only showcasing your education and your experience, we're showcasing how we're volunteering in the community. We're giving professional references so that they can test us out. Yes, we're talking about our reviews, but we're also, as Jack said, we're starting to gather our buyer intelligence of the money that we're saving buyers and how we're showing up. And you guys, I couldn't come to a webinar and not give you resources. So I worked with the team at TF, and you guys are going to get your own Canva template that you can edit to create your professional resume so that you can stand out against all these other agents that are resisting, that are pissed off, that are mad about everything, while you and I, we're in action. You'll get that. I promise. As Tom said, everything will be emailed to you. You just got to stick with us. So let's go back to Slocum. They're also looking at those buyer statistics. They're starting to pull out how many roofs have they replaced? How many septic tanks have they negotiated, right? Their team has sold 120 times more homes than the average agent in their marketplace. Do you think that's something that the consumer might want to know and how it will benefit them? In addition to that, they've done a deep, comprehensive buy-side compensation study. Let me break this down for you. Since 2022, they have gone back into their MLS records. And while it's still available, you guys, if you haven't done this, I urge you, figure out what's been going on with compensation. So when a buyer comes up to them and is concerned about, hey, I don't have the money to pay you, they are able to break out this buy-side compensation study that shows what's actually been tracking in their MLS. They even went as far to break it down on the price. So if you look at this, the prices and what the average compensation that was offered by a seller and the median compensation that was offered by a seller. And in the end, they're able to show their buyers what's happening in the field. 97% of all sales offered 2% or higher. That's interesting. Do you think that's going to help secure that buyer and help them understand what this process is going to look like when they're touring homes? 100%. They're also using this information in their listing presentation to prepare those sellers for the offers that are going to come in. As Jack said, write the offer. Well, now we know that many of these offers, the vast majority of these offers, are probably going to be asking for either a concession or some form of compensation. So I urge you, do your buy-side compensation study, export that information out of your MLS. Now, many of you guys have been saying, but Kristi, we work with online leads and they don't want to sign these. I'm here to tell you that online leads are signing the agreements. This is the exact script that they are using. They say, hey, listen, we understand you found us online. You haven't met us in person. Our agreement outlines both our responsibilities to you and your responsibilities to us, providing full transparency. It also includes a day-to-day provision. Yes, they have decided to value the client's fear and said, you know what? We'll allow you to cancel at any time without penalties or fees if you are not satisfied. We believe in proving our value daily. To review the agreement, we can meet at our office, send you an electronic link, or go over it 15 to 20 minutes before our showing. Which option's best for you? I love this day-to-day provision because they are actually saying, you know what, I'm going to work for your business. I'm going to show up every single day. I'm not trying to lock you into a bad cell phone contract. I'm here to be the best agent that you could possibly deserve. So I know it may not be for you, but I would highly consider something like this. It's awesome. So let's go from Rhode Island over to New York, where we've got Dana and Joe who are doing something that I absolutely loved, and I begged them to let me share it with you. They are absolutely crushing it because their motto is, why wouldn't a buyer want to work with us? We find the homes that never hit the market. That's it. They're leading with the fact that inventory is tough in their area. So they are doing a consultation, but it's very, very different. They will do, so they have a lot of online leads. They will do a guaranteed single showing. And this is gutsy, and it's not going to be for everybody, but they're absolutely crushing it. They'll say that Zillow lead that came in, that online lead that wants to see a home, we will guarantee show that home regardless of the compensation, because they believe that they will be able to show up and show that home. And they're also banking on the fact that not many buyers buy the first home that they inquired about. So they're saying, we're going to do a guaranteed showing agreement on the first home that you inquired about. And then we're going to get you into our office with our inventory specialist. Write this down, you guys, because this is genius. Their inventory specialist. It's the buyer consultation, but they're meeting with an inventory specialist. When the buyer meets with an inventory specialist, they're going to be focused on solving your biggest problems. We know that there's a lack of inventory. We know that affordability is tough, and we know that the competition is fierce. They lead their consultation. In fact, this is one of the first page I took a screenshot. Here's the 3 critical areas that most buyers want to discuss. So you guys are saying, Kristi, what is an inventory specialist? Well, they have dedicated agents doing these consults. So the buyer agent actually goes out and does the tour and then flips them over to the inventory specialist. They're listing agents. They're strong listing agents, right? We've got a couple other backup inventory specialists, but when the buyer meets with the inventory specialist says, hey, listen, my job is to actively search for the best homes for you. How have you been searching for homes so far? Oh, on Zillow and the MLS? Okay, yeah, most buyers do that. But did you know that my job is to find the home before all the other buyers do? And then they go into the fact that they are working with their pocket listings. They're networking with other agents because there are homes that are coming soon that are not on the MLS that we agents know are coming soon, right? And we also know that not all new construction puts all of their inventory in the MLS. We also know that there are homes that tried to sell and they couldn't. So they go through all of the strategies that they're using to find that inventory. Does it work having an inventory specialist? 90% of the buyers work with them. In fact, they are getting agreements, and they are allowed to in their state. They're getting agreements that are signed for over a year because they know the position that the buyer's in. Maybe they're relocating and they need a little bit more time. The buyers absolutely love it. Maybe you should consider being an inventory specialist. Let's jump over to Phoenix, Arizona, where Cindy Herrera with the Garcia Group. I'm going to give you 2 case studies coming out of this team. One works exclusively by referral. That's going to be Cindy. And then we've got another one that's working online leads. So when I interviewed Cindy, she's so funny. She says, oh, Kristi, you know that they love you. You know that they trust you. And then they say, can you give me a discount? You have to earn your fee every day. I need you to understand that. Let's look at how Cindy is absolutely crushing it with her existing clients. So the first thing is, no matter what, every single client gets a quick buyer strategy. They call up and say, hey, Tom, I want to see this home. And Tom says, yeah, we absolutely can see it. What time works for you? Great. And before we do that, let's stop by the office for a quick buyer strategy session. We'll grab some cold water, use the restroom, and that's where she's getting that agreement signed. Every client, no matter what, has a quick buyer strategy session. In that session, you guys, write this down. Time, money, stress. She is only focused on how she saves them time, how she saves them money, and how she reduces their stress. She says, Kristi, I do that because my process is so dialed in. I only show 3 to 6 properties and they're writing an offer. We're not running around in 115 degrees, right? No, 3 to 6 homes, they're writing an offer. She says, by the way, Kristi, I'm saving them money everywhere. She ran the numbers for me. This year, she's averaging her clients 2.5% in seller concessions, seller credits. So you've got 2 agents, you guys. One doesn't know how much they've saved their clients. And the other one, Cindy's like, yeah, I get you on average at least 7,000 in repairs. And I've been averaging 2.5% in seller credits towards you. I don't know about you, but I'm going with that agent. Her expertise and her process is full service. She explains that waiving your right to representation is like going to court without a lawyer. Would you want to do that? Would you want to risk that, right? She's got 3 pieces of advice for you guys. 1, date your clients, because if you are not dating your clients, someone else will. And think of it this way. If you're not dating your clients, some other agent is showing up dancing in their TikTok, dancing in their reel. And if they're not dancing, they're spitting really good knowledge. So you better date your clients. She said, don't assume value. Jack just said that. I'm telling you that. Do not assume. Always show your value. And the best one, never leave the appointment without your next appointment. And I know Coach Alyssia also does that. So that's Cindy's sage advice. And let's flip over to another team member of hers who's totally focused on online leads. I'm going to take you through her process very fast. The first thing is she's using the ALM script. So if you are working online leads, you know that appointment, location, motivation, she's using it. That calls 3 to 5 minutes. But coach, how can I talk about buyer agreements in 3 to 5 minutes? She's not. She's setting the appointment, getting off the phone, confirming the appointment, and calling back. When she calls back, she's affirming the appointment, getting them to see additional properties. Oh, and by the way, I don't know if you've heard, but legally I'm now required to have this agreement to be able to show you properties. So I'm going to go ahead and send this over. Now she sends over a 6-month agreement with an easy exit guarantee. She says, hey, listen, if I'm not a fit for you, if you don't feel like I'm doing my job, I will not hold you to this. So she's actually getting 6-month agreements with online leads. It's incredible. She's not even using the short form agreement. She sends it over DocuSign. She meets them at the property. She shows those homes. And as she's showing those 3 to 4 homes, she's doing a mini consultation. But the second appointment, that is the buyer consultation, where she's going through all of the process. Is it working? Absolutely, it's working. Now I said, okay, but Kristi, surely you're getting objections. You make it sound so easy, right? And she's like, yeah, I'm getting some objections. So let's go over the top 3 objections as a top performing Zillow Flex agent that she's seen. She said, the first one is, Kristi, they say, well, I've never had to sign one before. And I've heard every type of language as I've interviewed agents. Kristi is so natural. She says, well, I understand you haven't before because it wasn't a requirement, but now I have to have this agreement to be able to tour properties. She simplifies the meaning. We have to have this agreement. She's not going in. Now, some people do it really eloquently. I don't know if you've heard about the NAR settlement, She's like, yeah, it wasn't a requirement before, but it is now, and we have to have it. They sign. Her second big objection, I don't have the money to pay you. I get it. She's like, that broker fee could be a major concern for you. So she breaks down, and I know Coach Alyssia is going to go into this more. What if we could negotiate with the seller to cover part or even all of that broker fee so that it's not an added expense to you? How does that sound? She's using calibrated questions, very, very important, to uncover their concerns about that. And then she goes through how she's going to get that fee covered. The third one is they say, well, I'm just early in the process and I'm not ready to commit to an agent. She says, I get it. I understand having options is a good thing, but we have to have this agreement to tour properties. And if they really push back, because I said, surely you're not 100%. She says, if they really, really push back, she'll say, how about we do 2 weeks? And if I'm not the agent for you, we can cancel, no harm, no foul. It's not a big deal. I said, overall, you've been working Flex for a while. How has this changed your business? She says, it's actually a lot better. She said that enforcing these agreements has improved her business because the buyers understand the value of her time and they're more committed. I'm going to challenge you guys that if you have not taken your buyer broker agreement and uploaded it to AI and said, how do I explain this agreement to a buyer? And why would a buyer be concerned about signing it? Please do it. If you don't know how to do that, reach out. I'll help you. But it is absolutely fascinating. And then role play with the AI. So Tom mentioned Lourdes, Coach Lourdes said, we should be having a weekly buyer report. Well, I was like, you know what? I'm going to make one for you guys. So all of you are going to get a template of what a weekly buyer report could entail. Homes we've toured, homes you're still considering, doors I've knocked, expired listings I've called, how many letters have I written, how many emails have I sent. I am not going to do the 3 Ps. Tom, what were the 3 Ps? I don't know if you're muted. What were the 3 Ps when we were selling a home? Put a sign in the yard.
Okay.
Put it in the MLS. Put it in the live show, right? Put it in the MLS and pray that it sells. I'm not going to put you on a search, right? I'm not just going to put you on the search and wait till you find the home. I'm going to get my butt in gear and I'm going to work for your business and earn my fee. So everybody's going to get that. And I'm going to end with this because this is really important. Please, 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 Steve, stop procrastinating. I get it. Some of you are still pissed. I get it. But now is not the time to linger in the past. Burn the boats, move forward, get rid of your old habits. And here's the thing, if you're still freaked out about this, we have over 210 coaches coaching on this every single day. Register for the Success Summit. Let's work together and let's prepare you for these changes because 55% of you guys are already in action and that divide is getting bigger of skill. Thank you guys for your time.
Kristi, outstanding as always. Again.
Oh, hold on. I forgot one thing.
Tell us.
I forgot one thing. I just dropped a post in Instagram. If you comment fireside chat, I will give you all of these resources in addition to Tom's office. I did email them everything, but comment fireside chat at Kristi Jencks on Instagram. You'll immediately have access to the resources.
Love it. Thank you, my dear. Again, lots of value being delivered. So I'm going to just pop in really fast and answer one of the questions I just answered for, or basically dealt with one of my own clients. What do I do with people I'm already working with? So Kristi just gave us this unbelievable script for online and for new. But what about like literally, I'm not saying the client's name. I've been working with this buyer for like 2 years, luxury client. Another one said, I've been like showing property for like a year with this person. What do I say? So I bring up the simple slide, which is 2 of our great clients, Kim Pozak in Orlando, Florida, Lisa Chinati in Massachusetts. I challenge them, right? Myself and Jason Pantana working with Ken to let's just go back to all of your existing buyers that you're working with a simple little script to get them under contract. And the results in the month of April, 108 and 60 plus. So you're talking almost 170 some odd customers, just like the ones that you're working with and showing houses to now who said yes. So how do we do it? Very simple. Want to know? Here's the dialogue. You're definitely going to want to take a screenshot, but yes, we're going to send you a copy. It starts with something simple like this. So, David, we've been working together for the last 6 months. Would you say that I'm living up to the promise that we talked about in our initial buyer consultation? My goodness, I hope if you've been working with them for 6 months, they say yes, or 3 weeks, they say yes. Of course, we love you. We totally appreciate you. We've written a couple offers, whatever it may be. Then you simply say, great. So I've enjoyed working with you guys as well. The next logical step would be for formalize our partnership with a buyer brokerage agreement. Can I explain? That's it. Like that's all they did. Now, the reason I left it, can I explain is because states and brokers and MLSs and associations are all different. You can go into the nuances of your marketplace, one party show agreement. Probably not going to do that now with your people you've been working with, but you know what I mean. Simple, 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 simple. All right. You guys got that script. Next up, David, I started this by saying, you and I have had a lot of conversations about how interesting the fourth quarter is going to be. And I know we're sitting here, in July,
right?
And I'm trying to arm a bunch of my besties with what they need to know and say to charge into the storm. So ladies and gentlemen, world famous David Childers, buckle up. David, take it away.
Thank you, Tom. And hey, thank you for putting this on for everybody that has, played a part in Jack. Nobody better to guide things forward and guiding really the industry forward in everything here. So I'm going to take 10 minutes and I'm going to make you a guarantee right now. I am going to give you something that you can use immediately to share with those that you're working with, people in your sphere, anybody out in the world that is starting to have questions about how will this election coming up in the fourth quarter affect real estate? Okay, so here's what I want you to do: get something out to write with. I've got my things here. Get your phone out as well, so that you can take a couple of pictures, because you're going to want to get this out. Again, you're going to get all the slides. That's been said many, many times. But what I'm going to give you are the facts about presidential elections, where you can confidently, what was said early, confidence and energy. That's what it's all about. You can confidently answer the questions that your clients, that those that you're working with, those that you want to educate, so that they understand what's going on. So I'll share my slides. We'll do this quickly, and you'll be able to use it right here. First one, Al Ward said this: presidential election years affect the national housing market and mortgage rates through 3 interrelated channels: uncertainty, policy expectations, and consumer confidence. Let me just break these down real quick. Uncertainty is pretty, straightforward. Who's going to be elected? I'm sort of uncertain about that, and I don't know the direction the country is going to take. Second, policy expectations. We ought to be well prepared that housing will be a point that is played up, in the next few months leading up to the November election, the presidential election. That we need to understand what are the policy expectations, and that ultimately leads into consumer confidence. Do I believe things are heading in the right direction? So what are the facts about our business in election years? Now, I'm going to tell you something real quick before I hop in. This is an opportunity. One, I think it was said very well, don't read minds. This is a question people are wondering about that you have the answer to. But the reality is the election does not have a tremendous effect on real estate. So somebody could ask you a question, or you could say, hey, don't worry about it. It doesn't have an effect. Or you can use the facts to say this is what happens typically in an election year. Let me show it to you. First one, sales drop in a normal non-election year from October to November. You see the gray bar there, 9.8%. That's a normal seasonal drop in transactions from October to November. In an election year, they drop 15%. So a little bit more. And here's what happens. People sort of look at what's going on and they put their hands in their pocket and they say, well, just wait. We'll wait and see what's going to happen. And, you mentioned Steve Harney on the front end of this, Tom, and we lost Steve this year. It was, so much of the love that everybody sent, I want to say thank you for that. But his legacy will be in the things that he taught every one of us, the founder of Keeping Current Matters. And, he used to always explain this and say, our business works a lot more like an Apple store than it does a McDonald's. And my words to you today are, we don't lose this business. It just gets delayed. And let me give you the example. If we lived in a town all together, all of us on this webinar, and a storm blew in and we couldn't leave home for a few days, McDonald's loses that business. You don't decide not to eat, right? You just eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner at home. The Apple store doesn't lose the business. You just decide to go buy your iPad whenever you can get back out of the house or the next week following. And that's how our business works. We don't lose this. It just gets delayed. Ali Wolf said this in December following an election, and in the following year, sales that are lost during November are recovered. It isn't that consumers say, I'm nervous and I never want to buy. They just say, I'm nervous. Let's see how this is going to play out. I believe that will happen this year. But let me run through a quick set of facts that, again, get your camera out because I'm going to run through pretty quick. Get your phone out and you can grab these, some interesting things that you're going to want to share with those you're working with. First one, home sales went up after 9 of the last presidential election cycles. Okay, so what happens to real estate during an election cycle? Well, typically, home sales go up the following year. The two exceptions, 1980, 1988. Here are the facts, right? If I can educate somebody with the facts, then I don't have to convince them to do anything. Now, here's another interesting thing. In the 4-year election cycle, the first year is usually typically the best year in the cycle. I do not believe that will be the case in the coming 4 years. I believe we will incrementally sell more homes in the next 4 years, each year. But we in 9 of the last elections, we've seen more sales the year following. And the bottom line is the election doesn't alter what's already happening, price trending and all those things that's happening in the market. Maybe a little bit of delay in the fall, like we talked about. But let's talk prices for a second. Existing home prices went up after 7 of the last presidential elections. This is interesting. The one exception, 2008. A little bit going on in our business during that time. But these facts, being armed with these facts, being the educator, helps my buyer, helps my seller understand, okay, sales go up, prices go up. New home prices right here have gone up in 10 of the last presidential elections. The one exception being 2008. I'll remind you, a little bit going on in the housing market during that time. I'll give you one more. I wanted to run through these pretty quickly. I know we're trying to make the best use of time here. This is an interesting one. Mortgage rates, they decreased leading up to an election in 8 of the last 11 cycles. This is from July to November. What happened? Now, you can get some folks fired up on this, no doubt. The conspiracy theorist will be out there talking about it. I don't believe there's a correlation, honestly, in it, but I think it's interesting. if you were to ask me, what is my relevant market opinion based upon these facts? I do believe we will see that in the coming months. And there's a lot of factual evidence to support that in our interest rate environment. Now, I don't think we're going to come up with or see something that's going to blow our socks off, but I think we'll see a better interest rate, mortgage rate environment in the coming months, much like what we've seen typically with mortgage rates. Last slide here I'll give you before I turn it back over. For most Americans, the election will have little direct effect on their income and therefore should not significantly impact their decision to buy a home. Tom, that's my message today. It doesn't have a tremendous impact, but what we can do, we can be the educator on a topic that a lot of people are thinking about right now.
David, I first of all, thank you. A couple of days ago, when I got those slides, I immediately did screenshots of them in a small version. And what I'm going to encourage all of you to think about is Instagram Reels. We know on a green screen, you're going to get more results, more views, have more people commenting. So I took all David's slides. I'm going to do them all, but hey, listen, you right. are the one that needs to say. And again, I would just encourage you to be neutral. Would it shock you to hear that at 9 out of the last 11 presidential elections, blah, 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 blah. Share that and then say, but what do you think is going to happen next? Put the comments below. And right. you will get a ton of people commenting. And again, what you're trying to do is be the educator. And David,
2 things on that. Do the green screen. We're going to send them to you. Have them on your phone, right? I can pull it out and I can show somebody right there. So thank you.
1000%, my friend. Thank you always. Okay. Now we're taking a little detour. We are talking heavy buyer agency, understand the market. I would be remiss if I did not say to my partner and dear friend, Jimmy Mackin, Jimmy, people still need listings. And you and I are on a tear helping, tens of thousands of agents with the right marketing campaigns. So let's take a detour from buyer agency. We'll come back to it with Alyssia Essig, in a few minutes. But Jimmy Mackin, Curaytor, listing leads. The floor is yours, buddy. Let's get everybody. Right. Let's go.
Thank you, Tom. So we're going to have some fun today because what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a little bit of a sneak peek at what I'm going to be covering at Summit this year. This is about 10% of what I'll be sharing during my sessions live in Dallas. And I hope this gives you a sense of the things that you're going to be learning while we're together for the event. I tweeted this recently, Tom. I said, if you're waiting for Jerome Powell to drop interest rates, something is really broken with your business. And so what we want to do as business owners is we want to control what we can actually control. And so what we're going to do for the next 15 minutes here is my goal, what success looks like for us, is I want to share with you ways in which every person, the 3,000 people who are live on today's session and 1,000 that watch a replay, how we can drive high intent sellers today, high intent opportunities today without a big budget, without having a massive SOI, without having to pay profit crushing referral fees. What are the ways that we all the tools that we have at our disposal to actually get into action right now, as Tom will say, charge the storm. And one of my favorite quotes, and you guys should be able to see my slides here, is from a guy by the name of David Ogilvy. David Ogilvy, who is widely regarded as the father of modern advertising. It's a series Mad Men was based on him. He says famously, you can't save souls in an empty church. And so as marketers, we got to get people's attention. We got to get them engaged. We got to get into motion and having conversations if we have any chance of driving real revenue for our business. In order to do that, if you're going to be good at marketing, you have to understand the basic principles of marketing. And that is the invisible force that drives all of our behaviors. It drives all of our actions. It drives all of our decisions. And that is psychology. So today I'm going to give you 3 ideas, 3 tactics, 3 strategies. These are battle tested. These are things that actually work for your business. But I also want to shine a spotlight on the reason why they work, the psychology behind these campaigns, because you can use that for inspiration and all of the marketing you're doing for videos, social, email, content, you name it. You can use these principles to apply. let's start with this idea, and I'll pull this up so you can see this idea of every single day in your market, there are homes hitting the market. Yes, inventory is down. Yes, it's tight in many areas, but still homes are hitting the market. And when you look at this, oftentimes consumers just rely on getting updates from Redfin or Zillow. And we have moved from the age of information to the age of recommendation. So if there was 100 homes that hit the market in your area every week or every month, probably 70 of them are average, maybe 30 of them are good, and then one of them is great. And I guarantee you, for everyone who's tuning in right now, I guarantee you that you can spot what a great property is. Great location, priced really well, there's high demand. I don't think the consumer knows this. And so what we want to do is we want to take this idea, you as a professional real estate agent who's able to spot these great listings, we want to take this idea and we want to use it to generate hot referrals, high intent referrals from our SOI. So my buddy Sharon at Real popularized this concept called the deal of the week, which is you study the MLS, you identify a deal, and then you email that to your database. We're going to adapt that concept to the deal of the week text that goes to your SOI, and pay very close attention. If you're taking notes right now, pay very close attention. Hey, Tom, I just got some insider info. This is scarcity. This is like, hey, you've got some information that isn't available anywhere else. A beautiful home is hitting the market in Bedford. It will likely sell within a week. I'm creating some urgency. Then what I'm doing is I'm using a tactic in psychology called priming. I know you've probably got someone in your network who's looking to make a move. Now, all of a sudden, when they read that text message, they're saying to themselves, they start thinking, who do I know who's thinking about making a move? And then have a very simple call to action. So this is what I refer to as the deal of the week SOI text. And so if you're struggling to stay in contact with your database because you don't know what to say, one of the things that you can do is make them look good in front of their friends and family members. If you can empower them to refer or to provide their family with information, their friends with information, this is how you drive high quality inbound referrals. Now, for everyone watching, I want you to pay very close attention to the next slide here. Your database is a lot bigger than you think. Your SOI is a lot bigger than you think. You actually have 3 databases. You have the people who are in your CRM, the people who are in your phone, and the people that you are connected to on social media. So my advice here is using the deal of the week SOI text is to scan through your CRM to find people that you've engaged with, look through the contacts in your phone, and then make sure that you're DMing people on social media as well. So you can email, you can text, you can DM. This is one of the fastest, easiest ways to generate high intent referrals from your SOI without being salesy, without being pushy, without being overly aggressive. So that's strategy number 1. That's us using scarcity. Hey, we got access to something. It's not going to last. Let's keep building on this. The second tactic I'm going to share with you, and by the way, this is mind-blowing to me. I was on a phone call a couple of days ago with a guy named Ren Jones who runs Espresso Agent. And he says, Jimmy, the number of expireds has doubled in the last 12 months. And so your mind should immediately be saying to yourself, oh, wow, okay. In 21, there weren't that many expires. In 22, maybe there's a handful more. In 2024 and 2025, we're going to see the number of expireds skyrocket, in my opinion, because a lot of agents are not accustomed to managing a listing more than 30 days. And so you should be thinking, this is going to create this sort of opportunity that didn't exist in the past, but exists now. And so what I want you to do is I'm going to give you a script here. I'm going to give you a script that generated, Tom mentioned Lourdes earlier. Lourdes used this exact expired script to generate a $25 million appointment with a prospect in our area. And the guy who reached out says, the reason I'm calling you is because of this letter I just received from you. But before I show that to you, this is a typical example of an expired script. Hey, Tom, I noticed your home isn't listed anymore. I'd like to offer my services. I'm a licensed agent. I can do A, B, and C. Now, when you look at this script, what is the very first thing that you feel? Is it this kind of feels like every other script that every other agent has sent? See, even good marketing, if it's done by everybody, dilutes its power. So one of the things that I want to focus on here is this idea of how do we leverage those psychological triggers I mentioned at the beginning to create some excitement, to stand out, and to actually get results. So this campaign is a standard campaign that most people send. This is the campaign that Lourdes sent. And what you're going to notice is we're using and I would write this down, we're using a copywriting framework called PASS. That's problem, agitate, solve. And what you'll see here, and I'll call out a few things that we do with this campaign. Now that your home didn't sell, you've probably had a wave of agents promising you that they can get the deal done. Instantly, when the consumer hears that message, they're saying, yeah, I have. And so we're building some trust through the words that we're writing. You've heard the story before, but you're not buying it. And now I start to show them that I know them. At this point, you're frustrated, you're disappointed, you're probably pretty annoyed that your phone hasn't stopped ringing. If a home doesn't sell, it's for 3 reasons. It's priced incorrectly, didn't get enough exposure, it wasn't presented properly. And what we're doing with this next line, you can take a screenshot of this, but what we're doing this next line is we're saying, hey, listen, if it's number 1, don't hire another agent, just drop the price. And so we're in many ways, this is the anti-sales pitch. You don't need me. Go ahead and just lower the price and sell the home. But if you think it's number 2 or number 3, I can actually solve that problem for you. And here's the call to action. Now, when you compare this boring, standard, status quo message to something that actually uses psychology, that actually emphasizes what the consumer is feeling and thinking, then you start to understand why this stuff really matters when it comes to copywriting, because copywriting is just salesmanship in print. So the second campaign I'm going to share with you today is I would identify the expireds in your market. I think I would go back and look at anything expired recently, but go back and look at 22 and 23 and make a list of any of the homes that expired that did not relist. Chances are those folks are open to the idea of selling. We just got to get the right message in front of them. And so finally, number 3, but my number 3 strategy, and by the way, like I mentioned earlier, I'm giving you like 10% of the ideas and tactics and strategies I'll be sharing at Summit. So hopefully the team can drop a link to Summit because I would love to see many of you there. It's going to be an amazing event. The number 3 strategy I'm going to share with you is the CMA, the unsolicited CMA. Now, I just updated this text. My buddy Ken Pozak generated $3.1 million in volume off of basically 1 week's worth of work. Here's a text message that we sent. Hey, Tom, I'm preparing an updated home value report for you today. Just a quick question. Have you made any improvements to the property recently? And this is important. I'm texting that first script, and then I'm sending the second script, which is, by the way, I just did this for one of my clients, and they gained $36,000 in equity in the last 12 months. That's called a hook, folks. That's when we get them really dialed in. And I'm sending them 2 messages, not just one, to demonstrate that, hey, this is not an automated message. And then finally, I'm turning the corner here, and I'm saying, here's my call to action. Okay, great. One more thing. Are there any real estate plans you think I should know about? So the unsolicited CMA is one of the best tools in the toolbox for generating high intent sellers. But you've got to stop asking people if they would like a CMA. Instead, you should proactively reach out and give them one, and then ask an easy to answer question that helps you understand where they're at in the process. And the very, very, very last thing I'm going to share with you today is if a campaign works with one channel, you can extend it to another channel. This letter, by the way, this letter has generated tens of millions of dollars in listings for only a handful of agents who are executing it. If I did a CMA for Tom, I would contact my title rep. I would get the 100 people who live closest to Tom, who have owned the house for 7 years, and I would send them this letter, this hyper-personalized letter. Hey, I just did an update for your neighbor. They gained $37,000 in equity. That's probably why a lot of people have been selling in the last 3 months. And by the way, if you want to know how much you've gained, just text me. Here's my phone number. And so, Tom, when you put all of these together, you've got the deal of the week SOI text, which generates high intent referrals. You have the expired campaign that actually uses psychology to get people to raise their hand. And then you have the unsolicited CMA with the unsolicited CMA mailer. These are all things that people can be doing to generate high intent listing opportunities today without a big budget, without a lot of time, without having a huge SOI, without being an expert in AI. These are all the ways you can generate listings. And just one last thing, Tom, before I pass the mic back to you, as a quick thank you to everyone who's attending, and a thank you to Tom Ferry and the entire organization. Every script that we cover today, along with every new script that we add, which is on a weekly basis, you can actually get access to. If you hit that QR code, you'll get access to listingleads.com. We have a free trial as a thank you to everyone who's tuning in today. And just one quick pro tip, we just dropped an email last week that is driving listing appointments like I've never seen before. So when you log into your account, check out the seller activation email. Is an absolute killer. So at a high level, Tom, that's the strategies. Again, I'm giving you just a tiny, tiny, small taste of what we're covering at Summit. And hopefully this is valuable for everyone who tuned in today.
So Jimmy, as always, you know what I love too? I love getting the sneak peek of because you promised at the Summit 30 different listing attraction campaigns. Yes. And I'm almost wondering, okay, really fast. Hector, turn on the chat. Hector, turn on the chat.
Hey, Tom.
Yes, go ahead, Kristi.
I have to let Jimmy know this, that yesterday I was coaching a brokerage in Riverside, Nest, Stephen Amaya's brokerage. I shared that email and Sandy Chang immediately got off the phone, did it. She texted me and called me. She says, Coach, you're never going to believe what happened. He called me and he was like, it's the strangest thing. I've got this house to sell and I don't have an agent. And then you emailed me. It absolutely works. The people need to take action.
Love that.
I wanted to open up the chat just because you could see people are super fired up about this. Jimmy, I actually am going to make a statement. I think at this year's Success Summit, we shouldn't share that many listing attraction campaigns. I think those brains are going to pop. If you have not already made your reservation, I said it to you earlier before I bring up Coach Alyssia. Listen, prices go up tomorrow. We're going to have between 5,500 and 6,000 people there this year. And that only means one thing, that what we are delivering in a day and age when a lot of conferences are being canceled, a lot of people are struggling to get people to show up in a room. It just tells you that my community, our ecosystem, like the 35 different presenters are going to bring you so much damn value. It goes back to the same thing, like the 180-degree theory. People like you and I, when the masses are in a scarcity mindset, when the masses are in a mindset of confusion, when the masses are, in stopping marketing or, oh my God, they're just in this state of fear, what do? We do the opposite. We over prospect. We go back to expired listings, even if we don't like them. We remove our confirmation biases and we do what is right for the customers and we do what's right for our families. And that's what the summit really, in a nutshell, is all about. So I highly encourage you to take advantage of it or wait and pay a few more shekels when you sign up. Don't do that. Hit that QR code. All right. This has been a rockin' show. We've got one last presenter. Buckle up. She is, I lovingly refer to as my most litigious coach, but also the person that I don't want to misquote the time, for 25 years now has led the way on buyer agency. She is the one that I turned to and said, Alyssia, I need you to do your buyer brokerage presentation live. And it was the most watched show inside of our coaching ecosystem. It was like the highest starred rating show I think we had ever done. And she's my gift to you as we close out this powerful session. She's going to talk about some of the do's and don'ts. And this is a woman that is batting 1,000 on buyer brokerage agreements in the great state of Maryland. So, Alyssia, I'm going to kill this and give you the power. Take it away, my dear.
Thank you very, very much. And I'm always honored when you invite me. Can you guys see? No, you can't. Can you see my slides?
I see you in your slides.
Okay, perfect. Yes. I was like, hey, Jimmy, how did he superimpose himself on top of slides? I had to be like Jimmy. So, I approached Tom several years back and I was like, I have a case. I like buyers. I think buyers are just as good as listings. And we all know that one transaction requires both. So, learning and diving into this. So Tom said, hey, can you run down some do's and don'ts? I was like, absolutely. You got it, top coach. So I'm going to dive right in here. And do number 1 is bottom line only. Now, what does that mean? And what that means is, so I actually tested this a little bit after the report came out, the 108 pages. I gathered a group of my closest friends, some of which I have sold real estate to, some of which I haven't. And I was like, I need to test something here. And so I was like, have you guys heard about what's happening? And, they were all kind of like, yeah, maybe, whatever, a little bit. And so I went into this sort of deeply long historical conversation about it, and I lost them all. And they were all glazed over, and they were like, I don't understand. And so I was like, okay, I've given too much information. And I have been working with all of my coaching clients for 2 very simple things. And that is, keep it simple, bottom line owner only. What they want is they want to know what the process is for buying and getting them into their next home. And they want to know how they're going to pay for it. So on this slide, you can see I've got 2 small little ideas for you. The first one is, and if you watched Kristi and I back in April, and Anita, we talked about it's very simple. Hi, this is my fee. And there are 3 ways that you can fund this fee. The buyer pays, the seller pays, or a combination of the 2. Now, sometimes you may lose people there. Maybe, what do you mean? Well, I love analogies. I think analogies are great ways to explain things. And I have to give a shout out. When I was on a coaching session with someone, I actually came up with this analogy. And it's very simple. When you go to a doctor's office, they hand you a piece of paper that says, this is how much your visit is going to cost today. We will run it through the insurance company, but ultimately the visit fee is your responsibility. Now, in real estate right now, with buyers and buyer agency and buyer representation, it is the same. We are going to see if we can get all or some of it covered by the listing side. But at the end of the day, it is the buyer's responsibility to pay the fee. Now, looking at this slide, I have a picture of an empty theater. And the reason why is because you're never going to go on stage not having practiced how to say this and how to deliver. You heard so many great scripts and ideas and strategies from Kristi and Jimmy and Jack and David, myself included. You've seen and heard all of these. And we're not the only game in town. I'm sure there are other either local or national webinars that you've listened to. Study them, practice them. You're not going to ever go up on stage with having not practiced. You are going to be practicing with the people that you know and trust, and they can give you feedback and go, that didn't work. I didn't see it, just like I did. So do number 2, the forms. Listen, I know that some associations, some brokers, they're all now starting to deliver their updated, revised, and or new forms. That is so important. Kristi had this amazing idea. Upload the form into AI, have AI say, hey, help me explain this to the consuming public. Study these forms. I am in full belief that our industry is and will continue to be under quite the microscope. We cannot step outside because you will be scrutinized. It's important. Study the forms. Go to your broker, go to your MLS, go to your local association, wherever it is. And if you're not getting them, please, if you're writing notes down right now, please, by all means, start blowing up the phones of the leaders in your local industry. And then again, you're going to practice all of these changes that are laid out on the forms. Now, I put this in here because, as Tom says, I'm the litigious coach. It's because I sat in the broker chair for 9 to 10 years, and we're all here because we want you to continue to be successful and carry that real estate license. That real estate license is what allows you to practice real estate, making sure that you are adapting to these new regulations, rules, and forms is so very, very important. It's important not just for your business, but all of us. Do number 3, the math. Tom talked about Palm Agent. I'm going to talk about this too. Make sure you know how to do buyer net sheets. Go and download Palm Agent right away. It will walk you through the process of connecting your local MLS, your local taxes, etc. When we're talking bottom line only on do number 1, it's about the numbers. They want to know the numbers. How is it going to affect them when they are purchasing? Making sure that you can run those calculations. Being able to do this quickly, easily, efficiently when you're at a house, showing a house, when you're at the buyer consultation, it will set you apart from the agents who aren't stepping into this. And if you're not familiar with it, again, practice, practice, practice. Now, practice is going to lead us to confidence and energy. If you are one of the 14% of people in the poll at the beginning of this call that has been resisting, then you will be approaching these conversations not with the right amount of confidence and energy that's going to win you the business. Confidence and energy is everything, everywhere. We want to work with people who know what they're doing and have fun doing it. So make sure you're bringing that to the table. Now, we've got the 3 things here. Practice that conversation. When you're practicing, find past clients, friends, family, anyone you can do. Say, hey, you know that things are changing. Can I run this by you? How did this land? Do it at the dinner table. Do it with your kids. If your kids can understand it, if you have them, if your kids can understand it, then you've hit the ball out of the park. Do it with anyone and everyone. Practice at all times. Tom used to tell us the story of how when he was building the company, he had his affirmations and his scripts standing right there. And he would be on his little bouncer and he would go, I can do this. I can do this. This is where we are, folks. Okay, you've got to work out the kinks. If you're not practicing, you're not going to figure out where are you stumbling? Where are the kinks? Where have you lost people? So work out those kinks. Now, on to some don'ts. If you've seen me speak before, this is one of my favorite quotes, which is conflict arises when expectations differ. Now, why do I have this here? Because on the 3 don'ts, the very first one is don't expect others. And when I mean others, I mean other real estate agents. Don't expect others to behave or have the same level of education and practice as you do. This is a time where I don't know about anybody else, but I'm pretty dang leaning into the fact that I think agent reputation is going to be everything. Everything. Because if we're building in our buyer agent fee into contracts and you're submitting it to an agent on the other end, your reputation is absolutely going to matter. Which also means that in this time of change, right now where we are, this time of change, it's going to be even more important for those of us who are taking the time, educating ourselves, practicing, to lift each other up and say, hey, let's make sure we're doing this. Now, for the love of all things holy, please stop venting on social media. Stop. Jack talked about this earlier. He was on some Facebook groups. There is so much stuff going on Facebook groups, and things can be screenshot and saved. It's like, it freaks me out. And honestly, I have had to personally leave Facebook groups because I am that concerned. I don't want to be associated with some of the conversations I'm seeing on social media.
Hey, Alyssia, I got to jump in really fast and just say to everybody, here's my take. Don't write anything in a public forum that you do not want published in the New York Times the next day or used against you in the court of law. Got it?
Got
Sorry
it. No, thank you very much. I thank you. You were firmer than me. And I have here, remember, it's called Fake Book for a reason. Just if you're freaking out, don't freak out on social media. Stop it. And then the last one is, please, and I've said this from day one, do not try to sidestep the rules. Don't try to figure anything out. Read through the 108 pages if you need to. There's 6 pages that you need to pay attention to out of the 108. And they very, very, very clearly say, do not try to create a mechanism to sidestep the rules, period. Now, I've got 3 immediate action items for you. Number 1, you've got to attend Summit. I mean, Tom has said it, Jimmy has said it, we've all said it. I mean, if you're not doing it, attend the Summit. You will find so many agents to mastermind, role play, practice with. You will have had some opportunity to practice it in real time because it's 11 days after August 17th. That's number 1. Number 2, go create a mastermind in your local market. Go create opportunities to role play, practice, share what's working, share what's not working. Create that mastermind right now. You will then be viewed as a leader in your industry. And you might be like, Alyssia, I don't want to be a leader. I don't care. If you're on this call, you're one of the 2,600 people that are here. You are a leader because you're taking that step. Lastly, go ahead and consider getting into coaching. If you're not in a place where you're finding all of the support that you need and want, call us up. Interview a couple of coaches. I know Kristi, me, we are here because we love elevating agents. So I leave you with those 3 immediate action items. And Tom, you're going to wrap it up. So thanks always for the opportunity.
Thank you. All right, Hector, go ahead and turn the chat back on. Jimmy, Kristi, Alyssia, maybe check out the chat. I'm sure there's some questions there. But what I want to say to you all, first of all, by the way, thank you for the shout out to, I know the most popular, most downloaded app in all of real estate, and it's FREE free. If you don't already have the Palm Agent app, I'm just going to leave it up there for a minute. Jimmy had a couple of people said, can you put up the QR code for listing leads? And I just was kind of answering for people like in Q&A and chat, if you just go to listingleads.com, the free trial is there, correct?
That's correct.
So the QR code was just driving you there.
Yeah.
So make sure you guys get that. And look, what I want to say to you all in closing is, by the way, a whole bunch of you I just checked have signed up for Summit. So congratulations. You're going to be emailed by my staff. Now they're going to email you the slides. I'm sure there's going to be an offer, like a, last final offer for Summit. I know there will be. There might even be an offer if you're not one of our coaching members, that should be there as well. But what I'm going to make sure you do is just make sure you check your inbox today. Make sure you go to your junk mail. We know the rules of email today. You got to kind of scour everywhere. Like, I don't know about all of you, David, but I find myself, I have like 4 or 5 different email addresses. And then I have to look in the junk and in the inbox on every one of them. And oftentimes find emails even from my lovely wife who's watching now. I love you, sweetheart. All right. So as we wrap this up, charge the storm, my friend, charge the storm. No one cares if you're in your head about this. No one cares if you don't like the rules. No one cares. Well, people care if you think you're going to get away with doing it the old way. Just like during the pandemic, we all made adjustments, and those of us that made them sooner are the ones that were able to be geometrically ahead of everybody else. And everything myself and all my friends and everybody in the industry that's done a webinar like this all had the same intention. Ready? We're all just going to get better. We're going to serve more customers. We're going to help more customers. We're going to do it the right way. And at the end of the day, we're going to help our families and we're going to help ourselves. So as we wrap it up, I don't think I have another Zoom planned for a while. So for a whole bunch of you, I'll see you either on the live cast or I'll see you in person at this year's Success Summit. It's going to be bananas. Thank you for being in my community. A whole bunch of my coaching clients are watching right now. Hey, listen, I'm going to share the new numbers on the 100K program. OMG, Jimmy, I just shared you the numbers. Get ready. All right. So David, Kristi, Alyssia, and Jack, who's not on, thank you all so much for your contributions today. And for my friend watching, get to work. Do the opposite of everybody else. Everyone else is going to make your phone calls, send out the text mails, do your emails, send out the direct mail, follow up on your customers, ask every person you're already working with, hey, did I do a great job? Am I doing everything I promised? Cool. Let's go to the next step. Let's start tracking every day how many buyer brokerage agreements you can get signed between now and the summit. All right. Charge the storm. I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Take care, everybody.